welcome friends! Frenzy here, bringing you Kerbal Space Program. Guess what? 1.0! Oh, look at those, look at that smoke effects. Look how cool that is. Sorry, I just had to point that out. So what I'm going to be doing, kind of going forward for the next probably couple days, is kind of looking at 1.0, new mechanics, new features, new parts, and I'm going to just kind of break this up into several videos. Don't know how many videos yet, but it'll be kind of like a mini-series. And honestly, I hadn't originally planned to do kind of like a 1.0 stock series, but I've been watching an unhealthy amount of KSP TV, the official squad channel for KSP streaming. I've been watching it so much, and I think I could really do a series with it. I might try to see if I can get like Kerbal Engineer once they kind of update that before I start, just because I need my Delta V readout. But nonetheless, today we're going to go ahead and look at re-entry effects, basically, re-entry heating. So now, in case you didn't know, we actually have re-entry effects. So I'm not really looking at aerodynamics. That's why I'm kind of skipping through a lot of the launch here, just kind of getting to the point. But you'll did notice, in case you didn't see there, I did have a little fairing. That was pretty cool. So we have new fairings in there as well. So I'm just basically almost similar to what the Orion test flight did, where it's kind of like giving itself into like a really high orbit and then coming down, so we can get some really good re-entry heating effects. So we're kind of doing it that way. We're approaching that way in the testing manner. And we're just kind of coming down here. Jeb! Oh man, I should have gotten Val. Val is like my hero. I love Valentina Kerman, so I'll be using her a lot. But we still love Jebediah, right? We can't go wrong with him. You see there's the heat shield, new heat shield parts as we're cutting through the atmosphere. Thanks, aerodynamics, which is really cool. The aerodynamics are brilliant. Probably my next video will be on aerodynamics. Man, yeah, so you will shoot through like a missile, particularly if you are aerodynamic. And you can see the camera shake, one of my new favorite additions. Like, oh man, it just feels so good going through here, going through the atmosphere as the G's build up. And we deploy our drogue chutes. So, kind of half of it, I guess. I don't know. And I don't actually have a real parachute, so I'm going to probably die. But that's okay, because we're just testing some things for science, Jeb, for science. And you can see here the ablator wore off. And not only that, you didn't get a chance to see this. I really wish I had shown this. Dang it! Way to go, previous self. The heat shield actually is a much more of a yellow color. So it actually gets darker as you burn it off, as it gets kind of burnt up. So that's really cool. And I just kind of use a debug menu here so I can actually show you some of the values. So you can see the temperature. The temperature is 681 degrees. So the heat dissipates. Heat actually dissipates, and it takes some time to dissipate, which is really cool. One of the kind of new features or modified features you see for Kerbal Space Program now. So it kind of models radiating heat much, much better, much more effectively. And I thought, what better way to test out a heat shield than to go on a free trajectory to the moon? So we're going to go ahead and check out that, get some real re-entry heat on this this command pod here. And I'm kind of pointing out, I don't know if that's new, the atmosphere glow. I know they've always had it, but I don't know. It looks prettier. Everything looks prettier. The skybox, I don't know if they've changed that, but it looks prettier to me. And we're going to go ahead, and you can see the free trajectory here that I'm just kind of fine-tuning a little bit, just kind of showing you this. So we're going to basically go to the moon, do a flyby, and use the moon's gravity to kind of slingshot us back to Kerbin. So that's exciting, right? We save some fuel doing that. But we pick up a lot of speed doing that too. So this will be fun to do. Yes, we'll see. Will we survive? That is the question. So re-entry mechanics, something you really have to think about now. I talked about it kind of in my 1.0 hype video that I put out yesterday, that it's going to change the game. It really is, if you use it, of course. And it's not by default, so I think most people will use it. So it's something you really have to consider, particularly not only just for coming back like from moon missions and Minmus missions and interplanetary missions, but it's also something to consider as well when you're doing things like reusability. So maybe when we have mods and FMRS and stage recovery, perhaps you really have to consider, how is that going to be impacted by, heating. So it's something to consider. Space planes are very different now. How you do SSTOs and space planes, radically different. You can cut through the atmosphere, and again, I'll do atmosphere in my next video. You can cut through the atmosphere like a knife through hot butter. Kind of in the lower soupy atmosphere, there used to be a cap of almost like 200 meters a second was kind of the max you could do. Trust me, you can break that pretty easily. And we're coming in here, and hey, you see Valentina in the bottom right. Oh my gosh, I love Valentina. She is a ball of fun. She's very much like Jeb. She's always happy, always excited, even when she's, as I'm realizing here, yeah, I messed up my staging, so I needed to put a decoupler under the heat shield, which you can kind of see in that kind of white, gray, checkered box there. I forgot to do that. I didn't do that. Sorry. But we'll get to test out. So I thought this will... Why not keep this? This will actually be a really good way to test out for science, of course, for checking out, you know, see what happens when you don't have a heat shield, when you're coming in pretty hot. Over 3,200 meters a second right now. That's fast, ladies and gentlemen. So we're kind of seeing what this is going to look like. And at first I was like, oh, okay. It's kind of like in Deadly Reentry, the engine would absorb a lot of heat. And that's not surprising necessarily, because obviously, you know, engine in some ways is designed to, you know, deal with a lot of heat. But what you'll see is, as we go into IVA here mode, just kind of checking it out. Check out the camera shake, which is by far one of my favorite features that they've added, one of the small features that they've added to the game. So I'm pretty excited for that. We're just kind of shaking around here, moving our way down. But, you know, normally kind of at this altitude, you would really be, you know, your speed would in a lot of ways be just shut. You know, you'd be slowed down drastically. I'm still going fast, over 2,800 meters a second. That's fast. That is not messing around speed there. And I'm just kind of checking out the temperature, so it's getting pretty hot. It's getting real hot, but without the heat shield to kind of deflect it, I think in some ways, you'll see here in a second, I think it starts to transfer to some of the other parts, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, it's pretty hot, and I'm, whoa, okay, kind of trying to keep this thing under control. With the new aerodynamics, if you don't have something that's really aerodynamically sound, you know, that engine on the bottom there creates some drag. So there's some issues there, so you got to be careful how you deal with that too, as I'm kind of fighting it. Using RCS and SAS, but it's not easy with the new aerodynamics, and things are getting hot. As you can see now, my decoupler is starting to heat up significantly. Oh, there goes my parachute. Parachute's starting to overheat as well. You know, that is not ideal. There's also 3.75 heat shield. Maybe I could have used that to disperse the heat a little bit better too. But, yeah, we exploded a little bit here. Oh, yeah, I'm going to make it. Oh, no, there goes my parachute. So, Valentina, on her maiden voyage, she's going to die. Let's be honest. There's probably no likely chance to survive from that. And we're still cutting through the atmosphere, kind of checking out IVA again. I should have switched to a different seat. That would have been better, right? Well, sorry, Val. But nonetheless, if you enjoyed, please feel free to go ahead and tap that like button. I would appreciate it. And if you want to see more 1.0 hype, go ahead and subscribe. We'll be bumping out some videos for 1.0 things. And again, offer comments, suggestions, things you'd like me to go ahead and test out and see. I think we'll take a look at aerodynamics next. But beyond that, let me know what you want to see. And finally, I will see you next time.